Welcome to the Girl Boss Method. So, we've got a couple of girls on the call tonight, and today's topic was a question that was submitted in one of the girls' check-ins last week. She was asking about how to eat more without eating all her calories. Um, she's actually just jumping in and joining us right now. So yeah, we're going to work through some practical tips to sort of maximize, your meals and try and keep you staying in control. So some of you may have heard of the term volume foods. So this is obviously foods that, take up more space on your plate and allow you to feel as though mentally you're eating more. And maybe there could be some benefit as well, that the fact that you're eating more, a lot of the time, it could be more fiber, more water, all of those sorts of things. You means you've got to chew more, you've got to take your time. So there can be an element of sort of mindful eating within that as well. So again, yeah, why does it matter? Well, again, feeling, especially when we're thinking about those of you ladies that are working on sticking to a energy deficit of some sort. So whether we're looking at calories or we're just looking at other ways of reducing, the amount of energy intake you're having. Again, mindfully as well. It's really important to ensure that when we are looking at sitting in a deficit, it's somewhere that you can still maintain good cognitive function. You're not getting yourself sick as a result. You're not leading to burnout. It's really important that all of these things are in check. And this is why I'm here as well as your coach. So if we need to increase calories during certain periods, again, literally during certain times of the month, or maybe even when you have your immune system has been shot, there is value in eating more because you need to recover and get better. That's more important. So yes, we just take it back to basics here, but we're working on a calorie deficit, but the idea of feeling full and feeling satisfied can help you stick to your goals. Again, whether you're working on fat loss or maintenance, there is some sort of maybe some value in avoiding the whole binge eating cycle and mindless snacking as well. Support your energy levels, your mood, and your workouts. So, again, those things are going to be related to feeling satiated from the foods that you're eating, feeling full as well, enjoying food. When you're not having things and you feel like you're in a massive deficit and you're overly hungry, this is where you can sort of almost, you can tilt that balance and you end up going into that whole feeling like you're not sure when you're even satisfied when it comes to food because you are having so little. So it's really important. So yes, we're going to be talking about how to eat more volume whilst keeping those calories in check. And this is going to be giving you some tips also, because I think when it's cold, I know that some of you struggle with cold when it comes to getting steps in, when it comes to having motivation to work out. And food provides us with comfort, with warmth as well. There's just something in when it's colder, it's just it feels nicer to feel more satisfied. So it's possibly more easier in the summer. In the summer, you're going to be tempted to have, food that has a lot more water content and stuff. So there'll be a change. So we're going to go through a couple of different tips here, if you like. So again, tip number one, the focusing on the high volume, low calorie foods. So with this sort of stuff, we are looking at foods with a higher water and fiber content. And this is, a way of keeping you fuller without adding more calories. So, we can, it's again, it's so simple in the fact that it's not sort of, we're not looking at things as being bad or good when it comes to food, but obviously always making better choices. If you are deciding that you want to feel full of crisps and cakes, they are going to have more calories. And again, will they have some of the other additional properties to help you feel satisfied and fuller as well? So when we're thinking about foods with naturally higher water content and more fiber. Uh, Obviously, our veggies and our fruits. So we've got a list of different things here. So you've got, your leafy greens, your cruciferous vegetables, things like your broccoli and your cauliflower, carrots as well. One of the girls has been talking about having carrots recently. She's got really into them. Courgettes, loads of water in courgettes. I think one courgette, it's massive, and I can't remember how many calories are in there, but it's pretty low. Yeah, things like butternut squash as well is a really good one, especially if you're somebody that likes a sort of baked, warmer foods. Butternut squash is a good thing to kind of add in. And again, you can mix this in. If you're having things like sweet potato, for example, you can mix it up with butternut squash, wedges with and mixing it with the sweet potato, and then obviously things like miso as well. That's going to be great for your brothy type foods as well. So fruits, adding bits to, again, maybe even your porridges or your yogurts. They add that food variety and the sweetness. It adds more to your palate as well, can help you feel a little bit more, yeah, it can make you enjoy that food a bit more. Another note on that is we can use things like certain spreads as well. There are ways of adding a little smidge of something you like, just again to help enjoy that food again. And it will, we know that it will add a few more calories, but just, something to bear in mind. So again, yeah, soups, broths, vegetables, all that water content as well. A great way of having a lower calorie option. Okay. Number two, protein. We all talk about protein these days. We bang on about protein constantly. You hear it in the media, you hear it on, in the news and magazines and Instagram and everything. But there is value to adding protein. Like, yes, we know that it's responsible for helping us maintain lean muscle mass. Protein is also one of the functions of protein is immunity as well. It sounds crazy. We always reach for oranges and, vitamin C when you're sick, but actually ensuring that you are fulfilling your protein needs is really important when you're sick. So again, protein can also help you feel fuller for longer. So when we're thinking about go-to options, again, when you are feeling unwell, what sort of things do you feel like you're driven to having more of? Just make sure that you add your protein in as well. So whether it's, your tofu, or your chicken, your eggs, or other, vegan veggie meat alternatives as well. We also want to look at grilled or baked as as opposed to doing fried. When we're frying things, although they taste a lot nicer, the calories that we'll be adding in addition. Again, if anyone wants to chime in on this, how many calories in a tablespoon of olive oil or any cooking fats? Anyone wants to blurt it out, you can do if anyone knows. I feel like Mira's saying it.
Is it 120?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, perfect. We got Reka in there. Perfect. That's right, exactly. So, again, it's very easy for that to stack up. And you think about how much a tablespoon of olive oil looks like when you just dash it in the pan. It doesn't look like very much. So just something to bear in mind. Baked is always better. I don't have an air fryer anymore. I gave my air fryer away to one of my sisters. Her oven had packed up, and she's got kids to feed. So I was like, "You have mine." And I haven't had a replacement since, and I have not had it back. So whatever. I'm baking my tofu right now. Okay. Other than that, yep, you've got your, again, coming back to it, your soups, your stews, your dals, you want to try and make sure that you are aiming for 25 to 40 grams of protein per meal. There is value in having a larger bolus of protein in a meal. It's going to stop the additional snacking and stuff. And the hunger as well. It's really important that you feel satiated with your meals. I've done this personally myself, that if I am working on, a deficit or anything like that for any sort of short period of time, or longer period. Larger meals, bigger bolus of protein, you're going to feel more satisfied, especially if you're busy working, ladies. It's not grab and grow. You grab and go. You've got to feel satisfied and make sure that that kind of ties you over. And then when we're looking at low calorie swaps, so again, different swaps are going to help you with enjoying, hang on a second, enjoying what you're having without having to go for, just got slightly distracted then, yeah, without having to, go for, just for example, chocolate. We all love chocolate. There's nothing wrong with it. I do often say to you ladies, if you want to save 100 to 200 calories for something sweet, for something that you like, go for it. But there are other ways of doing that. One of my favorites is actually to go for a bagel thin, the Warburton's bagel thins. I think they're about 130 calories. You whack on some Choc Shot. Choc Shot is this really, it's like fake chocolate. It's made with cacao, and it's actually made from grapes. So it's sweetened in a different way. And it's not to say that it's a replacement, but it's not a bad shout if you are working on having to. And you know what? Your palate changes as well. If you're just eating your normal stuff, you're going to notice as soon as you start switching over to things like even reduced fat hummus. Just even little things like that, they taste weird at first, but you can swap them out. And it's not to say you can't have rice, but cauli rice is a pretty good one to do. Courgette as well, so you can actually get spiralized courgette noodles. Some of the supermarkets do them, or you can make it a lot cheaper yourself, if you've got one of those funny grater things that make them into courgette. But yeah, other different tips there, yogurt-based dressings, again, some of the higher protein yogurt options that you've got as opposed to having just, full fat cream, lighter spreads. A lot of the major spreads that you get now, so the margarines, you can get, a lower calorie option, sugar-free options as well. And it's not to say that you've got to have this indefinitely and this is a swap for life. These are just little hacks that you can add in just to kind of add in a little bit more. Cucumber, I don't think I've mentioned cucumber. Cucumber's another one, which is again fibrous, full of loads of water, but a great one to have. And yeah, so another one we talked about. So we were talking about the butternut squash, but for example, with mashed potatoes, you could mix it up. And it's not to say you've got to exclusively have things like cauliflower in there, but just adding it in. So it doesn't have to be exclusive, but adding it in is just, again, you're giving yourself a little bit more freedom in terms of the calories, keeping it cozy, hey? Okay. And then again, when we're thinking about balanced fiber, again with carbs, the fiber is going to help you with, slowing that digestion down and helps you keep you fuller for longer. So some of your examples, you've got your oats, your quinoa, whole grain pasta. I wouldn't say I'm the best fan of quinoa, but this morning I stumbled across a porridge oats made with quinoa and coconut. It was from Pret and it was really nice. So I don't know if anyone else has ever tried adding in a bit of quinoa to their porridge oats, but that might be another way of, again, just changing things up. You've got some value with some amino acids in there as well. Just try something different. I might even experiment with that myself and let you know how that goes. And yeah, again, coming back to it, warming foods, your broths, your chilies, your dals, there's so many ways. And you girls, you show me pictures of big pots that you're cooking. Rekha, you did a great one the other day. You had a red kidney beans and
yeah, I did the black lentils and kidney beans mixed. And usually it would be a dal makhani with loads of ghee and double cream and all sorts. But instead, I used 1 tablespoon of oil to cook it. It was really hard not to put any ghee in it. Open bomb. And yeah, like cooking it and stuff, I added water in to get the onions as they should be instead
Mhm.
of more fat, which I'd usually do. And instead of using cream, I just got fat-free Greek yogurt and added the yogurt in instead. And it tastes amazing. I've just had some now.
Brilliant. There you go. So not really any difference.
I mean, yeah,
No.
it definitely tastes better with the cream and the ghee for sure. But but this tasted really nice, and I was just like, okay, that's probably about 500 calories less
Yeah.
than what I would have had.
Well, there you go. You've nailed it with that one for sure. You'll have to share that recipe as well. I'm sure the other ladies will appreciate that.
Yeah, I can do.
Goes without saying, hydration. Okay. So, yeah, we've all heard, again, are you, hang on, I've skipped forward slightly. Are you truly hungry or are you just bored? Are you, again, I speak to you ladies and often you're like, oh, I'm not drinking enough water and I can't get them all. And again, I get it. When it's cold, it's sometimes it's the last thing you want to do is go and reach for a glass of water, and it just doesn't taste the same as when it's hot. You're hot, you crave water. But you've got there you go. She's got some, but you've got other options. Like herbal teas. Herbal teas are great. You can add again. You can add milk to herbal tea as well. I don't know if you've ever tried that. A little bit for me, I've done a little bit of oat milk in herbal tea before, and it's pretty nice. So again, yeah, those are other options as well that you can kind of look at is hydrating in other ways. But yeah, having a glass of water before your meal as well. Again, if you're sort of having dinners and stuff with people, opting for some soups or some broths beforehand. I'm going to come back to the miso as well. Sometimes you'll go to, Japanese restaurants and they'll give you miso as like the starter almost or the appetizer. But yeah, I think there's some value with just getting some more water in. So make sure you're staying on top of your hydration. And we know that the general consensus is like 2 liters a day for an adult, 2 to 2.5. It will be different and it will vary in terms of, what your sweat rate is like when you're exercising. Again, the time of year as well will have increased water demands in the summer. And I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm pretty sure in the summer I'll like neck down like 4 liters without even thinking. I'm definitely a whole lot more thirstier then for sure. Mindful eating, okay? When we're thinking about distractions, especially when we've all been there. You get sucked into a doom scroll on Instagram, social media. You're looking, it's on Facebook, or I don't know, maybe some of you are kind of addicted to the whole YouTube thing as well. It's like one video after another, or, Netflix seems to be the go-to thing that you just switch on as soon as you get home. Um, it's great, look, whilst you're cooking or whilst you're doing things, again, I think podcasts are great as well to listen to. I think that's quite a nice way of kind of, again, especially if you're home alone as well, having podcasts on, keeping your mind going, you've got some conversation and stuff. But when it comes to eating, I think there's definitely something to be said about appreciating and having some gratitude for the food in front of you. And again, if you are thinking about the working day and how busy things get, in the morning, it's just shoveling down breakfast. It's, you've only got 20 minutes to get, something, done, a report, maybe some extra work done on something, on a break. And then it's like, back into work and you're shoveling food at the same time. It's just like there will be times where you can't help it and there's no other choice. So when you do have the opportunity to not have distractions, especially if you find that, like dinner just kind of doesn't really touch the sides, especially if you're working in this deficit, it's starting to get harder. Just getting away from being distracted by the telly, taking time. If you are sitting with people enjoying a meal, putting your fork down in between, just pop that down, have conversation, take time, chewing as well. I this word's always funny, but mastication, the the whole process of chewing as well. Again, if you Google this, it's something like 20, I think 28 to 32 chews per bite to actually chew down and chow down a bite of food. If you do that, I did it once. I think I bring this up every now and then. But back in lockdown, you're just dead bored. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to try this. I did a day of it and I couldn't eat. It really does start bringing, because when you're chewing, you're starting to release those digestive enzymes. Your mouth is doing stuff, your saliva is doing stuff before it even hits your stomach. So you're already releasing those enzymes, those juices, those, the hormones as well, in terms of ensuring that you are feeling fuller. You're getting ready for that as well. So just something to kind of bear in mind. And then when it comes to snacking, so it's making smarter choices. Again, I know it's so easy these days to go to the supermarket, pick up a meal deal, and you go, that's one option for a snack, that's another. And again, there is value for it. Again, I'll try and provide as many resources as possible for just looking at different options that you can do. But even just as simple as a homemade sandwich, it doesn't have to be some fancy salad. Um, Couple of slices of, again, two slices of protein bread, slap something in between. Whatever it is, if it's a meat alternative, or it is a meat that you use, or if it's a low fat cheese, or whatever it is that you prefer in your sandwiches. Another vegan one, which is really good actually, that I've had before, is the sort of tofu mayonnaise, a bit like an egg mayonnaise, but making that as well. You can kind of do out of the silken tofu, and adding a bit of kala namak, which is like that black salt as well, giving you that eggy taste. But whatever it is, just keeping it simple when it comes to your foods. And then when we are thinking about snacks, you've got all our protein-based snacks, your Greek yogurts, your protein bars. I'd kind of be limited with those. Again, they can be full of so much stuff. They're handy to have as an emergency. So, you can reach for one of those. I wouldn't rate them or put them as a necessary. Shakes are always good. Shakes are good if you know that some companies actually do sachets. So you can either get a little Tupperware bit and always have like that emergency thing that you just shove in your drawer at work, or you can buy single sachets as well. I use them when I go on holiday, believe it or not. So some of you might not know, but I'm a vegan. So when I go abroad, it's not always easy to get protein. So I do have to think about those things. So just grabbing a few of those, again, keeping them in a desk, in the drawer at work, what have you. And then yes, your crudities, your veggie sticks. So having, low calorie dips like your salsa, tzatziki, or even reduced fat hummus there as well. Give it a go. There's actually quite a big difference between the calorie content of like the regular hummus, the extra virgin oil one, the reduced fat options as well. There are so many, there's a difference with that. Definitely just have a look at that when you go to the supermarket next time. I wouldn't say that, yeah, it's an acquired taste. It tastes a bit different, let's put it that way, but you'll get used to it. Yeah, roasted chickpeas. You can add paprika to that and some salt. Popcorn as well, homemade popcorn options. Other things, I did talk about the bagel thins with the choc shot. That's a good one. Company's called Sweet Freedom. Again, you can usually find that around the sort of tea, coffee bit in the supermarket. Low calorie jelly pots as well. I haven't really had these myself. Maybe they're probably more of a summer thing for some of you, but the jelly is quite a good one. I think they do brands that are like 10 calorie, 20 calorie jellies. Again, if it works for you, it works for you. I mean, it's great, but I would rather have something more satiating personally. And for me personally, in terms of snacking, I would just rather bigger meals and then just draw a line under it, and then it's just, waters and teas and that sort of thing. If I'm working on in a calorie deficit, that's what I would do personally. But yeah, again, when it comes to snacks, plan them in advance. Know what you're going to have in advance. There is really good value in just going through that exercise of, again, if you are at that stage where you are either you're using the food diary option or, MyFitnessPal, a bit more, centered around the tracking, and you really sort of on board with that, try and pre-track before you go out to eat. And again, this is where there is value in doing a bit of meal prepping. You don't have to get out 16 boxes and stack your food in like you see on Instagram. Nobody's got time for that. It's boring. You might want to change something in the week somewhere. Just having some options. I mean, even going through on a Sunday and going, right, I've got my MyFitnessPal open, or I've got my whatever way or record keeping you want to do for food. If you just go for knowing where you're going to have certain amounts of protein for each meal, that's the first thing that you can do. And then you can just fill in the gaps. You can fill in the gaps because, it might be that, you've got this protein source and you're like, one day you fancy it with a wrap. Maybe the next day you'll have it with rice, and maybe the next day you might have it with potatoes. So just always having that flexibility and knowing what you've got access to. I think chopping up veggies and stuff like that is always good to kind of have ready to go. So there's never an excuse there. And yeah, I think again, a lot of the supermarkets, they do a lot of these things pre-prepped and pre-packed. They put portions together. So the stuff's out there for us to kind of, utilize. There are hacks there. So again, just a point here again is to get a common mistake again, but just avoid doing this, relying on low calorie foods. The idea of today was just to get you maybe thinking a little bit wider and thinking about the possibilities and that there are options, but you don't want to rely on low calorie. This is not a competition of trying to eat as less as possible. It's really important that we understand energy balance. Again, we'll have to tweak things as we go, right? If something isn't working, then we can start to adjust things. Again, 100, 200 calories max. It's just finding out where that point is where we know that you're making progress and we know what we need to change if it's not happening. So that's another reason why I'm like, it's really a good idea to kind of track, to kind of open your eyes to what's going on. And then, yeah, just not thinking just about calories. You've got to think about protein as well. Protein is very filling. There's a reason why we need it. There's many reasons, but it does definitely help with satiety. So don't overlook that one. Avoid skipping meals. I know that again, some of you are breakfast skippers. It's fine if that's you feel fine like that, and you feel like you can get through the mornings like that. That's fine, but you just need to know that when you are eating, that you are opting for better choices. And it's not like, oh my God, I've skipped meals and I'm starving, so I'm just going to grab the nearest option to me without thought. So everything you do need to have a bit of structure around things. Think about things first. It's going to stop that confusion and that sort of, having to overthink things later on. But again, if you are intermittent fasting, there is a way to do it. And I will say that most people do it incorrectly. They think they're fasting, but they're not, because they're just filling up with cappuccinos and coffees and stuff in between. If you're going to fast, you do it on water and you do it on black coffee, and it's not fun. So do what works for you. Let's have that conversation based on where you are as well and what you feel like you can deal with. But yeah, just know that quite often I speak to so many people that say they're fasting, and it's like, you're not really doing it right. You're skipping meals. And that's why you're making these poor choices later on. Yes, again, when we're thinking about toppings and sauces and again, these little things, when you're not tracking and you are just going for looking at better food choices or meal choices. Um, Again, just bearing in mind that there are, you just need to have some awareness about the types of snacks and stuff that you're having for sure. Final takeaways. Key to eating with more balance. That's what this is all about. It's having balance. Yes, have some high volume, low calorie foods in there, protein, some smart swaps as well. When you head into the resource collection, I made an ebook, a sort of a document in there with lots of low calorie options. So different things that I've sort of picked up over the year and I've sort of picked up along the way as well. So lots of options within that. I have actually uploaded a food volumes, just like a little summary, if you like. And then again, that one you can find in resources if you head to ebooks and you click on more. So just note that again, within the app, when you're looking at things face value, you might only see a few different things. You'll see a little light blue and it will say view more. Click on view more, and quite often there'll be a drop down with more options as well. But yeah, stay hydrated, look at some, mindful eating, understand and listen to your hunger cues, because quite often when we have got problems with sort of, how we're eating and stuff, and always feeling hungry. Again, it's, well, how much are you really packing into a meal? Are you feeling satiated within that? Quite often, it's easy to kind of just, maybe your hunger cues just don't work. So whether that's you're eating in a surplus or you're eating in a deficit, you're just, those hormones are not firing at the right time. Those two hormones, you want to look at them. One's called ghrelin, which is like a gremlin that makes you feel mega hungry, and the other one's called leptin. And leptin's the one that makes you feel a bit fuller. But yeah, experiment. Give these things a go. Try them out this week. Let's have some of those like conversations about this stuff as well. Share what you girls know as well, because I know that you girls, again, you've tried lots of different things. I've learned stuff from you as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for listening. I'm going to end the call now, but we will stay on. And we'll have another little chat around this topic as well. But thank you for those of you that have just stumbled across this episode or listening. This has been the Girl Boss Method.